Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel URIEL, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I want to talk about, I'm about to correlate the universe and how life works with the rainbow. With a simple rainbow. Now, this life is with everything. Now, check this out. This is why it's always stars correlated with the rainbow also. So anytime you see a rainbow, it's always correlated with a star or something like that. But for the most part, check this out. Now, we're going to start off with God, and we're going to start with the birth of spirits, and then we're going to start with understanding how the soul is an individual spirit, and then we're going to understand what could be a body and what are lights and light bodies and sounds and frequencies, and we're going to understand the realm of reality of frequency, vibration, and energy with just a simple rainbow and the stars. Now, check this out. Let's start from the center right here. Now, let's say this is God. Now, before you see all this rainbows and everything else, right? You see all this is coming from this. But before it was this, just look at this spot right here, right? Now, anything that's beyond this spot will be perceived as a parameter. So it's like a wall that didn't know it was a wall. A land that didn't know it was a land there yet. You see what I'm saying? So think about it like this. When you have imagination and thoughts, say you have a new idea or you experience something new, a new idea or feeling. That's an area you never thought about before. So that's an idea, thought. So now you have to look at your mind as being expanded. So we know everything is about expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. Because you're going to have to give off, you're going to have to let go certain things in order to receive this new idea that you have. So everything is about expansion, contraction. So this is how we get the pulse, the heartbeat, whatever. So right now, how you look at it in the astral realm, right? The expansion will be like this, and the contraction will be like this. You see what I'm saying? Expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. Now, with each expansion, the contraction becomes less. So, look at it like this. Expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. So, the lesser the contraction, the more it can be expanded. The expansion, contraction. Expansion, contraction. So, now, when you looking at, now we finna get into why I get to be colors and things of that nature. Now we get into how we get area and space and parameter and things of that nature. Now, think of this like ideas and thoughts. So, it's expanded in thoughts and ideas and things of that nature. So, right, boom, this is the frequency. This is spirits getting birthed. Two spirits coming together to create another one. That first expansion, oh shit. Yeah, or that first expansion and contraction, with those two energies that just happened, created another spirit, and now that's able to add on. So this is how you get the smear. This is how you get more of the wave here. And now we're going to get into how they become color spectrums. Now, once you got a group of spirits, let's just utilize this green expansion and contraction first, this rotation. Now, going from here, you got this section, this section, this section, this section. So these waves are spirits on their travels. Spirit is like a frequency, a line of events, a timeline. So it's on a Pacific travel. Now, since you got this one, this size relative to this one, relative to this edge of it, relative to this edge of it, these are all different spirits on their own travel. But based upon their own perception of this little green travel, right, they become individual spirits. They become a void. They become motherfucking souls. So now you have a soul. So now it's vibrating. So with this astral travel of spirits right here, they're all vibrating to a certain degree of the color green. Let's just, because it's just using this color right here. So they're all vibrating on this vibration. But they all look at it differently based upon what's relative to them. See, so how wide this is basically how many spirits. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see what I'm saying? You got the spirits traveling. You got this spirit traveling closer to this line. You got this spirit closer to the middle. You got, and then it's all traveling. So now they all got their own individual idea of their travel. So that becomes the vibration. So this is where you get color spectrum. You may get a lighter green than a darker green. See what I'm saying? A higher vibration than a lower vibration of spirit. So these are spiritual souls. Soul ain't nothing but an individual spirit. So when I say your spirit, I'm talking about your soul. But the collective of this whole thing is y'all. So it's the spirit, but y'all individual spirit is a soul. Your individual idea of the travel of y'all going through. See, this perspective is going to be different than this perspective right next to it. And this perspective right next to it is going to be different than that one that was previous. You see what I'm saying? But they all ride the same wave. Now, this is where we get to souls. And now you get to, the more it did that, the more it expanded, and now you got a lot of souls. You got a lot of individual spirits. So this is an expansion and contraction. So when you look at space, this is what you're actually looking at. But you're not high in consciousness enough to perceive it, to be able to separate waves yet. You're just at the level of consciousness where you're able to separate particles. Now look, these are frequency vibrations. Spirits vibrating. That's where you get the color. Now we finna explain where bodies come from. How you can take a body that comes from, and a body ain't nothing but the highest density of it is sound. And the sound come from a rotation, which is these spirits traveling, having their own individual thought, aka emotional feelings, aka soul, having their own individual spirit, which is a soul, and them vibrating, relating to each other, right, and traveling. Now, as the expansion, conjunction going on with all these, the expansion and conjunction is what's causing the travel to cause friction with the other color spectrums, or within themselves. These souls is interacting with themselves, and the friction is what create sound, light. And the sound and light is going to take the form of the rotation that they're traveling. So the light and the sound forms, and that creates the energy realm. So the spirit realm will be the birth of the spirits, aka the first initial expansion and contraction of the traveling. The individual creates the vibration realm, which is the soul. This is how you get the color spectrums. And now we get into the energy. What matters can become matter and become solid. So now we get into the starlights. So now we get into the starlights. These come from the darkness, aka the rainbow waters, which you think is dark, but it's really just all the colors blending in. And as far as your perception, you're only able to perceive the particles out of it, the parts out of the wave, which is the stars. Now these are the lights, the sounds, the bodies in different densities, in different shapes and forms and ways. So these get created from the two spirits or the two souls that come together and cause friction, and what comes out of it is the lights, the sounds, and the vessels that come out of it ride certain frequency vibrations, aka color waves, aka planets and stars. You see what I'm saying? Now it's all making sense, right? Out of all those videos what I was talking about, I had to simplify it to a motherfucking rainbow, Takashi some kind of shit. Ain't this crazy? Now you see why all the star sheets out here are dyeing their motherfucking hairs, which the hair is the highest part of you. But let's not get into all this yet. Now, for the most part, each star or planet or asteroid, whatever y'all, or heavenly body, whatever y'all want to call it, is riding a Pacific color wave. Why is that? Because it got birthed by certain spirits that birth certain souls, individual souls. That's why you get the color, the rainbow itself. And then the stars that's riding the Pacific color waves is the physical vessel that got created from the friction of when two individual spirits come together to create a vessel. And now that creates a body and a light, and now spirits can utilize that light, that sound, as forms of circumstances or situations or bodies, and that's the highest dense. So that'd be like gas and shit, and then it could, as long as that keep being experienced, aka cause an expansion and a contraction, the more and more it does that, it could be made more dense, more dense, more dense, and it can be physical. And any kind of spirit can utilize these stars, bodies, lights as vessels to experience that color spectrum in reality, in physicality, in the energy portion of the realm. So the frequency vibration realm can experience the energy realm. You see what I'm saying? So now you see how that makes sense, and how you got control of these three worlds. You're living in these three worlds at the same time. It's not that you're going to one, you're in each one at the same time. And you're elevating and building on. Now the stars is going to build on another one, aka you are a star, you are a light. So when you look at your body, you be like, okay, I'm a light body, but how come I don't shine like the sun? Because you're not a big enough vessel like the sun. Your spirit ain't big enough to take one of those vessels. So when you get big enough to take one of those vessels, you will have the information to be able to know how to exhaust enough energy, or how to emit enough, what they call that, what's the word I'm looking for? Temperature. Or not temperature, but radiate enough with your body, because everybody's body got enough friction to radiate enough energy or radiate enough light. Like you could spark light off of you. You see what I'm saying? But as this vessel, how dense it is and how low in reality it is, these type of vessels is not powerful enough to generate to generate light off in a way like the sun do. But you are doing that, just in a lesser form. You know what I'm saying? This is why you have a reflection off your body. Your spirit don't have a reflection. Your spirit is in a whole nother world. Your physical body have accumulated all these pieces. So look at it like this. So you see these as stars, but say within these stars, it's a constellation and all that shit. Within this star, because this is a broader perspective of the realm of reality of the universe right here that I'm trying to come from. And the spiral. Y'all could go look at my video of the 360 spiral. But for the most part, say within this star is a bunch of mini stars, constellations, and things of that nature, right? Depending on your spirit, it could be big enough to take on all those stars as one. So when you look at your body right now, your body is you're a spirit within this body of lights, influences, and things of that nature, and reflections. This is the bodies that you can take as a spirit. Your spirit is in the world of unseen and unknown. These worlds can come and utilize what can be seen and what can be known, as far as sound, light, gas, and all these things, and utilize these things as bodies to come in forms of densities. And the bigger your spirit is this the wiser you is, the more you know how to build a better body for yourself. Take on a bigger brain, a bigger vessel, become a bigger star or a lesser star, which is that'd be a particle or a bug, all the way to the biggest star you can imagine in the cosmos. You see what I'm saying? But these are all forms of bodies, all forms of lights, influences. You see what I'm saying? Shapes, forms. Some form in some type of way. I don't give a fuck if it's a form that you think is non-physical. If it's a form that you have formulated within your mind, it's a construct and a concept. It's a form. You see what I'm saying? So these are bodies, and a body that know how to take one of those forms is pure, have no experience, but they're trying to experience. So they take one of these forms, and in your life, one of these highest forms may be just a thought and an idea in your head, but that may be a spirit trying to get birthed into this realm of reality in some way, shape, or form. Key word, some way, shape, or form. So if it had to come in that way and form of a circumstance or a situation or an idea that you resonate by you already being here in a vessel that's pretense from the spirit that want to come here, then that's how it plays out. So pay attention to your habits, and people, because you may be inhabiting a spirit based upon your habits. Flight boss, bitch, and this is the fucking universe. And this is how you know everything comes from expansion and contraction. So this is where you get positive and receive from, good, bad. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, positive, negative, good, bad. All that bullshit comes from expansion and contraction. All that. Morality, spirituality. Because that's how the spirit works. The spirit works in expansion and contraction. So you know you're supposed to spiritually let go of things so new spiritual things could come into your life. And then you do that from the soul. And then you do that with the body. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air. The rainbow waters is real.